How to apply for Digital Nomad Visa in Portugal successfully? This is a question a lot of applicants who want live and stay in EU. To have higher success rate, I will not sugarcoat and give wishy-washy advice to make your hope ups and just end up being rejected or worse, spend unnecessary money in applying. If you plan applying for Digital Nomad in Portugal or anywhere, you need to plan and prepare necessary documents. This is very important. Now the question is, if you're eligible for this type of visa, this is the foremost you need to ask yourself first. Now I know most of you will do researches online like I do, or some hire agencies. I would advise to do your own research first and try not spending money on agencies that, in the end result, be rejected. So try doing extensive research on your own first to avoid spending money that you shouldn't. Things to consider first before applying for Digital Nomad, and there's a list of checklists that requires to become a digital nomad in Portugal. But the most important requirement that I considered, and you must consider first to make you eligible in this type of visa, is money, at least to get you starting and applying. So for now, don't think about NIF or SEF or accommodation. For Digital Nomad, there are two things to consider in this. We all know it can be hard for most people who wish to come and live in Portugal or other part of EU, but this is reality. The main requirement to qualify for the D8 visa is proof of income. First thing, you need to ask yourself, do you have enough savings in your bank account to support yourself in Portugal? The minimum income requirement is 4 times the Portuguese minimum wage or monthly salary over the previous 3 months. I'm sure a lot of people get confused or misinterpret this. Let me explain and break it down for you guys. The current Portuguese minimum wage is 820 euros per month. Multiply those 4 times and you get a total of 3,280 euros. So it's 4 times the earning of local citizen there. This is the minimum amount of income you must have earned over the previous 3 months. So you multiply 3,280 times 3 and you get 9,840. That comes to a minimum monthly income average of 9,840 to 10,840 euros per month. Remember, this is the bare minimum. It does not guarantee approval. It's always better to prove more than the minimum amount if possible to help your application have better chances of being approved. Also, don't get confused if your earning monthly is 3,280 euros, but your current saving in your bank is below 9,840 euros. There's a big chance your visa application will be rejected. This amount, 9,840 euros, doesn't only pertain to your monthly salary. It means before applying for visa, make sure you already have this amount or more in your bank savings. If not, then wait at least a couple of months until your saving reach this amount, then apply for Digital Nomad. Important to note, there is a possibility that the income requirements may be interpreted differently by your country's consulate or were intended differently by the Portuguese government. Some staff in consulate may interpret this as a minimum of 3,280 euros per month for the previous 3 months versus the above calculation. Until we know more, it's probably advisable to contact your country's consulate or VSS office to ask them directly what they require. So make sure to have enough saving in your bank to have better chance of approval. Second, you need to have work outside Portugal. If you're working under contract, you must present one of the following. A, present the employment contract, or B, a statement from the employer proving the link with the company. If you are a freelancer, you must present one of the following. A, company incorporation agreement, or B, service provision agreement, or C, document proving the provision of services to one or more entities. So there you go, guys. If you have this too, showing 9,840 euros on you bank savings as proof of income and a work contract, then you are partial eligible, and you can start preparing and getting the other requirements for Digital Nomad Visa. Remember, if you don't have this too, then it's actually useless to apply and spend money on renting an accommodation in advance or pay for processing NIF and Portuguese bank online. Even if you hire a profession and visa agency for processing your application, you will still get rejected. My solution is to find a company that pays you a salary at the standard rate of EU. Another thing to consider is your ITR, income tax return. Although most Portuguese consulate doesn't require this, but it's still best to be well prepared. You can print out as proof you're paying your taxes obligation in your own country. Usually it takes a month or two on preparing the rest of the requirement. Make sure to start early with the documents that take long to process, especially the one that need to be apostille and authenticates by the governments. Let's say you have the income and work contract to prove. The second requirement to prioritize is NIF, Portuguese tax number. Now, for my experience with my consulate, it's not actually required since you're not sure if your visa will be approved or not. But as I mentioned, each county's consulate might have different requirements, so make sure to contact your country's consulate or VFS office to ask them directly what they require. For my part, I actually processed my NIF online by representative. So yeah, I paid them to get a NIF even though I'm not yet in Portugal. My advice, you don't need to actually, because you can do this in Portugal yourself, and it doesn't cost much as paying online. I paid online for this just to be sure, and thinking it gives better chance of approval. So it's up to you guys if you want to pay some company online to do it for you or not. As I said, NIF is not one of the main requirements when you're applying for Digital Nomad. You only apply and get NIF once arrived in Portugal, assuming your visa is approved. Third is Portuguese bank. Now this is same with NIF. It is not one of the main requirements. So please contact your country's consulate or VSS office to ask them directly if they require this. Then spend so much money on something that you can do on your own once your visa is approved. If your consulate requires you to, you can find online that opens Portuguese bank for you. Make sure to find the legit one. Fourth is Portuguese accommodation. This is same with NIF and Portuguese bank. It's not the main requirements. You don't need to advance rent a place in Portugal because it could be costly if your visa gets rejected. Although I have paid for 8 months rent in advance, it's just me being cautious and making sure the consulate know I can afford a place to stay in Portugal. So as usual, contact your country consulate regarding this if you need this. Now let's move to the other main general requirement. 1. As first mentioned, work contracts. 2. Bank statement and certificate, showing at least 4 or 6 months with a minimum amount of 9,840 euros. 3. Criminal record certificate issued by the competent authority of the country of the applicant's nationality or of the country where the applicant has resided for over a year, except for applicants under 16, with a Hague apostille if applicable or legalized. 4. Proof of regular situation in case of residence in a country other than the country of current nationality, which must be valid 3 months after the estimated date of return. 5. Valid travel insurance covering necessary medical expenses, including urgent medical assistance and possible repatriation. 6. Request for criminal record inquiry by the Immigration and Border Services, SEF, not applicable to minors under the age of 16. Here's a sample of the document and guide how to fill out the necessary information asked. And the rest is much easy. 7. Passport or other travel document, valid for 3 months after the estimated date of return. 8. Don't forget to make an application letter as to why you're applying for this visa and why you chose Portugal. 9. 2 photos, passport type, recent and in good condition to identify the applicant, 1 for this form. 10. National visa application filled and duly signed by applicant. For minors and incapacitated, forms should be signed the legal guardian. Here's a reference checklist of the general requirements for Digital Nomad Visa. Now that you know, and if you wish to apply for Digital Nomad Visa, always make sure you consider the first and foremost important, the proof of income and work contract. The rest is very easy to get. Remember, this is a guide to help you understand and plan your requirement without stressing out the unnecessary. Important tips: try not to fake any documents just to get in Portugal because you can be blacklisted and be banned, and chances the Portuguese government will make stricter and harder for others to come here. If you got rejected, don't get discouraged. You can appeal your application or apply again. It's best to be honest in all your documents. Thanks again for watching, and subscribe and likes if this video helped you with what you need. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. See you soon on my next video. Bye.